This presentation introduces you to the Inertial Reference System, or IRS. The program is broken down into sections that cover System Overview, Operation and Component Location, IRS Alignment, Initialization and Flight Deck Displays, the Align Down Mode, Alignment Problems causing flashing align annunciators, and the Attitude Mode. We'll start with the System Overview and Operation and Component Location. This information provides IRS background information based on the material contained in the Boeing Maintenance Manual, Chapter 34, which is titled Navigation. The IRS eliminates the need for vertical gyros, a rate gyro package, an accelerometer package, and a magnetic compass system. The IRS consists of 3 line-replaceable IRUs, providing triple redundancy, and an Inertial Reference Mode Panel, or IRMP, pronounced IRMP. The Inertial Reference Unit, or IRU, is the primary sensing and computing device of the IRS. The IRU uses laser gyros for basic pitch, roll, and yaw sensing rather than conventional spinning gyros. The IRS provides the following outputs on ARINC 429 digital buses to various airplane subsystems and flight deck displays: pitch and roll attitude, angular rate, linear acceleration, magnetic heading, vertical speed, inertial altitude, position, latitude and longitude, ground speed, wind, and track, drift, and flight path angles. Primarily, the left IRU is dedicated to the captain's avionic displays, while the right IRU is dedicated to the first officer's avionic displays. The center IRU provides a backup capability in case the left or right IRU fails. It can be selected by the flight crew, when required, by pressing the appropriate IRS alternate instrument source select switch. All 3 IRUs provide similar multi-channel outputs to the flight management computers and other airplane subsystems. The 3 IRUs are mounted side by side on the E2-4 rack in the 757 airplane. On the 767, the IRUs are on the E1-6 rack. The IRMP is located in the flight deck area, mounted on the pilot's P5 overhead panel. Note: a slight flicker is present on the CRT display units used in this module due to scan rate differences. It will not be present on the actual airplane displays. IRU data is displayed on the Electronic Attitude Director Indicator, or EADI, and the Electronic Horizontal Situation Indicator, or EHSI. The IRU data for these instruments on the captain's side is normally supplied by the left IRU through the left Electronic Flight Instrument System symbol generator. The left IRU also supplies vertical speed data directly to the captain's vertical speed indicator, or VSI. But the right IRU drives the compass dial and heading flag on the captain's radio distance magnetic indicator, or RDMI. On the first officer's side, the right IRU normally supplies the data displayed on the EADI and EHSI through the right EFIS symbol generator. The right IRU also supplies vertical speed data directly to the first officer's VSI. But the left IRU drives the first officer's RDMI compass dial and heading flag. The IRMP provides the main flight crew interface with the 3 IRUs. The data display provides a means of observing various IRU parameters. The display select switch determines which parameters are displayed. The left, center, and right system display switch determines which IRU is the display data source. The data entry keyboard is used primarily for entry of the IRU's latitude and longitude, or heading data. The lower section includes the mode select switches and the align, on DC, DC fail, and fault annunciators. The DC fail annunciator comes on any time an IRU's DC power source is lost. We'll describe the functions of the other annunciators later. IRS fault indications such as IRS on DC and IRS fault are also enunciated on the Engine Indication and Crew Alerting System, or ICAS. Now, let's look at the FMC CDU. The CDU is normally used during the alignment period for entering an initial latitude and longitude. First, you should understand some of the basic features of the CDU. The CDU provides the main crew interface with the FMC. Once position data is entered into the FMC, this data is then routed simultaneously to all three IRUs. The keyboard on the right is used for N, S, E, W letter entries representing north, south, east, or west. The numerical keyboard is used for entering latitude and longitude values. The initialization reference key is used to call up the position initialization page. The screen area at the bottom of the CDU is called the scratch pad. Data is first displayed in this area for review and verification before it is actually transferred into the FMC. Now, let's look at IRS alignment, initialization, and flight deck displays during the alignment period. First, we'll look at the alignment and initialization procedures. The alignment process is completely automatic and lasts about 10 minutes once the align or nav mode is selected. The IRS is initialized from either the CDU or the IRMP. Flight crews normally initialize from either the captain's or the first officer's CDU. To initialize the IRS from the CDU, set all three mode select switches on the IRMP to the nav position. The IRMP on DC enunciators momentarily go on, indicating that internal IRU self-tests are being performed to verify that system operation on the DC battery buses is possible. Left, center, or right on DC indications are also displayed on the ICAS. After a few seconds, the on DC enunciators go out and the align enunciators go on, indicating that the IRUs are in the align mode. The align enunciators remain on for the entire alignment period of approximately 10 minutes. The next step is to enter the position into the CDU. Note: enter position within 10 minutes after the first align enunciator goes on, but not before all three align enunciators go on. Also, the airplane should not be towed or taxied if an align enunciator is on or flashing. To continue initialization, press the initialization reference key on the CDU. If the IRS present position has not been entered, the position initialization page is displayed. In data line 4 right, set IRS position and box prompts are displayed. Now, enter the present position. There are 4 different methods of doing this. The first is to key into the CDU scratch pad the present latitude and longitude, verifying that the keyed-in coordinates are correctly displayed. Note: when keying in the latitude and longitude on the CDU, the decimal point, leading and trailing zeros must be entered. Now, to transfer the position displayed by the scratch pad into the Set IRS box prompts, press line select key 4 right. Simultaneously, the FMC receives the latitude and longitude data values and routes them on data buses to all 3 IRUs. The second method of entering the position into the scratch pad is to use the last position as calculated by the FMC. The FMC last position may be used if the airplane has not been moved since the end of the last flight. Press the line select key 1 right to transfer the last position's latitude and longitude into the CDU scratch pad. Then press line select key 4 right to transfer the position data into the FMC and IRUs as previously described. The third method uses a reference airport to establish position. Key a 4-character ICAO airport identifier into the scratch pad. Press line select key 2 left to transfer the scratch pad contents into the reference airport line. The stored latitude and longitude for the airport is displayed in line 2 right. Press line select key 2 right to transfer the reference airport latitude and longitude into the scratch pad. Now, press line select key 4 right to complete the position entry. And finally, a gate identifier can also be used to set the present position. Note, a gate position entry is possible only if a corresponding reference airport entry has already been made. Key in a gate identifier into the scratch pad. Press line select key 3 left to transfer the scratch pad contents into the gate line. The stored latitude and longitude for the gate is displayed. Press line select key 3 right to transfer the gate latitude and longitude into the scratch pad. Press line select key 4 right to complete the position entry. Note, flight crews normally use the most accurate latitude and longitude values available for initialization. In most cases, this will be the stored values of latitude and longitude for various airport gates. To initialize the IRS using the IRMP, first, power up by setting the 3 mode select switches to nav as shown before. Select present position on the display select switch. Use the IRMP's keyboard to enter the position. Either the latitude or longitude may be entered first, but both should be entered within 10 minutes after the first align annunciator goes on. Note, make sure all 3 align annunciators are on before making entries. To enter latitude, start with the appropriate north or south key. Then make the numeric entries. Complete the entry by pressing the Enter key. To continue, key in the local longitude. Begin with the appropriate east or west key. Then make the numeric entries and finish by pressing the Enter key. The IRS will not accept latitude entries greater than 90 degrees north or 90 degrees south. A blank IRMP data field appears after the Enter key is pressed if such entries are made. The IRS will not accept longitude entries greater than 180 degrees east or 180 degrees west, and results in the same blank IRMP data field. And the IRS will not accept a minutes entry greater than 59.9 minutes. Now, we'll take a look at the flight deck displays during the alignment period. During the 10-minute alignment period, the only navigation readout available on the IRMP numeric display window is the just entered latitude and longitude. There is no track angle, ground speed, wind, or true heading value displayed. When the display select switch is in the heading position, the time to nav is displayed as a single digit during the alignment period. The system display switch position indicates which IRU is being monitored. For the first 4 minutes, a 7 is displayed. For the last 6 minutes, the actual number of minutes remaining for alignment completion is displayed. During the entire 10-minute alignment period, the IRUs output no computed data. For this period, the following information is displayed. On the RDMI, a heading failure flag. With VOR selected, left and right VOR bearing flags. On the VSI, an off flag. In the EHSI's heading bracket, dashed lines are displayed, and a TRU enunciation is displayed to the right of the heading bracket. On the EADI, no attitude symbols are displayed. Note, the attitude fault flag is not displayed. After completion of the 10-minute align period, with the IRMP mode select switches in the nav position, all align enunciators go off, indicating the IRUs are operating in the nav mode. On the IRMP's numeric display window, the present position, ground speed, and airplane true heading is displayed when selected. There is no wind speed or direction information and no track angle information because the airplane is stationary. Also, the ground speed value is 0. The CDU's Set IRS Position Data line clears when all three IRUs enter the nav mode. Press the Next Page key after the IRUs have entered the nav mode to select the position reference page. The latitude and longitude shown on the CDU for all three IRUs should be the same as the ones displayed on the IRMP. Immediately after the system enters the nav mode, the following flight deck displays are present. On the RDMI, the heading flag is out of view and the actual airplane's magnetic heading is displayed. On the EADI, a pitch and roll attitude ball is displayed. On the EHSI, airplane heading and track are displayed in all modes. In the map mode, the airplane present position is represented by the triangular symbol. And on the ICAS, no IRS caution messages are displayed. Now, let's look at the use of the Align Down mode for correcting accumulated navigational errors. It is normal for small ground speed and position errors to develop during each flight segment. At the completion of each flight segment, these residual errors can be observed on the FMC CDU. To remove these errors, the flight crew may perform an Align Down mode procedure on through-flight stopovers or during delays prior to departure. A through-flight stopover refers to an intermediate short stop with the electrical power remaining on the airplane. Caution: the airplane must be parked during the Align Down mode period. Move the mode select switches from nav to align to enter the Align Down mode. Caution: when moving this switch from nav to align, it must be pulled out of the detent to prevent switch damage. The Align annunciators come on. The IRS always resets any residual ground speed values to 0. The position errors can be removed, if desired, by entering more accurate present position latitude and longitude values at this time. The position entry procedure is the same as for normal initialization. If you do enter a more accurate position during the Align Down mode, the entered position must agree with the IRU's computed position. To complete the alignment, turn the mode select switch back to the nav position. The procedure is completed when the Align annunciators go off. If desired, the mode switches can be moved from nav to align and immediately back to nav. In this case, the software keeps the system in the Align Down mode for 30 seconds. At the end of this period, the Align annunciators go off and the system operates in the nav mode. Note: before long overwater flights, the IRS should be turned off and a complete alignment and initialization performed, instead of doing an Align Down mode procedure. This optimizes the accuracy of the navigational data. This section covers alignment problems that cause flashing Align annunciators. Flashing Align annunciators have been a frequent source of false removal and unnecessary departure delays. There are several reasons for the Align annunciators to come on and flash. We'll discuss those and show you how to correct the problems. If one or more Align annunciators flash, and/or the FMC CDU messages Enter IRS Position or Cycle IRS Off-On appear, it means that there is a problem that must be corrected. Note: these CDU messages only appear when -105 or -106 IRUs are installed. When these messages appear, the CDU message light goes on. If all three Align annunciators flash immediately after the latitude and longitude are entered, It is probably because the position entered during the align mode differs by more than 1 degree in latitude and or longitude from the last position stored in the IRU memory. Either the latitude or longitude entered may have been incorrect. Check the latitude and longitude again and re-enter the correct position. The IRS will accept the information and continue its alignment. The align enunciators will come on steady. Note, if a consecutive identical incorrect position is entered, the IRS will accept the position and the align enunciators will come on steady. If one align enunciator flashes immediately after the correct latitude and longitude are entered, it could be that an IRU was removed and replaced with a new unit. The replacement IRU would then have the latitude and longitude of the manufacturing facility or service center stored in its memory. Entering the identical and correct present position a second time corrects this problem and causes the align enunciator to come on and remain on without flashing. Note, the IRU requires the operator to be consistent by entering 2 correct consecutive and identical values into the IRMP or FMC CDU. When using the FMC CDU for initialization, first, key the data into the scratch pad. Then enter the position by pressing line select key 4 right. This is required even though the same position value is already displayed on the 4 right line. Another cause of flashing align enunciators is not entering the present position before the end of the 10-minute align period. Enter the correct latitude and longitude at this time, and the align enunciators go off. For the -103 and -104 IRUs, towing or taxiing the airplane in the align mode causes the align enunciator to immediately flash when the motion starts. To stop the flashing, the motion must be stopped. The affected system must be recycled to off, and the total alignment and initialization procedure repeated. For the -105 and -106 IRUs, the align enunciators don't flash. The IRUs automatically recycle to the align mode and remain in that mode for approximately 8 minutes. Then the system enters the nav mode. Turning the IRS off following an excess motion condition, or at the end of a flight, causes the align enunciators to come on for approximately 30 seconds. During that time, the last present position, the byte fault history, and automatic calibration data are stored in a non-volatile memory. The system should not be turned on again until after the align enunciators go off. Note, the IRS should always be shut down in this manner. It should not be shut down by pulling the AC and DC IRS circuit breakers before completion of this sequence. An align enunciator also flashes if the latitude entered is out of tolerance with the value calculated by its associated IRU at the end of the 10-minute align period. The IRU calculates the latitude at the end of the align period and compares this value with the one entered. These values must agree within tolerances which vary with latitude. In this case, carefully re-enter the present position. Use the same latitude and longitude values originally used during initialization. If this entry is identical to the original entry, and there still is a significant difference between the entered latitude and IRU calculated latitude, the flashing align enunciator comes on steady, and the IRMP's fault enunciator comes on. At this point, if the operator realizes that an attempt has been made to initialize the IRS with an incorrect latitude, the fault may be cleared by entering the correct latitude. Note, following a display of the fault light, latitude data can only be entered using the IRMP. CDU entries are inhibited. The new latitude entry must still agree within a given tolerance to the IRS calculated latitude. An IRU may have a malfunction if the follow-up local latitude entry does not cause the fault enunciator to go off. However, to rule out procedural error, make another attempt to align and initialize the IRU before removing it. To restart the align cycle, switch the appropriate IRMS mode select switch to off. The IRU goes through an automatic 30-second power down, indicated by the align annunciator remaining on steady for 30 seconds. After the align annunciator goes out, switch back to nav. A complete latitude and longitude entry sequence is again required. In the align down mode, all three align annunciators flash if the flight crew enters a position that differs from the IRU computed position by more than 1/2 of 1 degree in latitude or 1 degree in longitude. A correct entry removes the flashing condition, provided the position entry does not exceed the tolerance noted. In another situation, if the flight crew makes 2 consecutive correct entries and only one of the align annunciators continues to flash, it is possible that its associated IRU is faulty. The suspect IRU should be turned off and the entire alignment and initialization procedure repeated to eliminate possible procedural problems. On those systems that use -105 or -106 IRUs, this requirement is enunciated by the CDU message Cycle IRS Off-On. Always perform this procedure of starting over before replacing any hardware. This section focuses on another operational mode associated with the IRS, the attitude mode. This mode can be selected during ground maintenance to quickly obtain a pitch roll reference for checking the weather radar antenna's stabilization system. The attitude mode is considered a default mode in flight. It can be selected following a momentary loss of both AC and DC power. In this case, the IRU functions as a vertical and a horizontal gyro. The IRU provides pitch and roll data for the EADI. It also provides vertical speed data for the VSI. If a magnetic heading was entered, the IRU provides magnetic heading for the EHSI. Whenever a total in-flight power loss occurs, IRS present position and computed heading is lost until power is restored and the IRS realigned on the ground. Move the IRMS mode select switch to the attitude or ATT position to enter the attitude mode. Caution: when this switch is in the nav position, it must be pulled out of the detent before moving it to the attitude position to prevent switch damage. This detent prevents the mode switch from being accidentally moved out of the nav position while in flight. Regardless of the IRMS mode selector switch position, once the attitude mode is selected, the applicable IRUs latch into this mode until power is removed. Pitch and roll data is available for the applicable EADI and the weather radar system 30 seconds after the attitude mode is selected. A magnetic heading will not be displayed on the EHSI in the attitude mode until an initial heading has been entered into the IRU using one of the FMC CDUs or the IRMP. The heading value to be entered can be obtained from the offside EHSI or the standby compass. Using the CDU, access the position initialization page. A set IRS heading prompt appears in line 5 right. Enter a 3-digit magnetic heading into the scratch pad. Press line select key 5 right to activate the magnetic heading. To enter the magnetic heading reference using the IRMP, press the H or heading key and key in the desired heading value. Notice that the magnetic heading appears on the left side of the numeric display. Press the Enter key to activate the heading. The numeric display is blank after the entry is completed, since this display is normally used to display true heading values only. After making a heading entry, the accuracy of the heading readout in the attitude mode is dependent upon the accuracy of the initial entry. Since it is also subject to drift errors, the value should be entered again, as required, to minimize heading errors. Heading accuracy should be checked approximately every 15 minutes. Now, let's review some important points. They are the result of many years of IRS Revenue Flight Service experience. First, the IRUs are initialized by entering latitude and longitude into the IRMP or the FMC CDU. To enter the present position using the CDU, the latitude and longitude must first be entered into the scratch pad and then line selected into the Set IRS Position Data field, line 4 right. The latitude and longitude of the last position, the airport, the gate, or a keyed-in value can be used for initialization. The second point to remember, during through flights, the Align Down mode can be used on the ground to automatically improve pitch and roll accuracy. It removes residual ground speed errors automatically. Also, position errors can be removed, if desired, by manually entering position update values. The third point, remember that the correct response to all flashing Align light situations is to make 2 consecutive and identical position entries based on the most accurate latitude and longitude information available. Power down the system if this does not set the Align annunciators to a steady on condition. Then, repeat the initialization procedure by waiting out the 30-second power down cycle and resetting the IRMP mode select switch or switches back to the nav mode. Wait 8 seconds for the Align annunciator or annunciators to come back on. Using the IRMP or the FMC CDU, enter the identical present position twice based upon the most accurate latitude and longitude available, and then wait out the 10-minute Align period. Fourth, remember that excessive motion from pushback, taxi, or towing of the airplane causes an Align annunciator to immediately flash if the -103 or -104 IRUs are installed. In this case, the affected system must be recycled to off and the alignment procedure repeated. For the -105 and -106 IRUs, this realignment procedure is automatic. The Align annunciators do not flash when the IRUs sense motion. And finally, the Inertial Reference System has an attitude mode that can provide pitch, roll, and heading data during ground maintenance or in flight following a momentary AC and DC power failure. This presentation introduced you to the Inertial Reference System and its alignment and initialization procedures, Align Down mode, and Attitude mode. Also covered were operational restrictions and possible indications or symptoms that might cause false removal and unnecessary departure delays during the Align mode.